Namaskar. Welcome to this session. We concluded the Surya Naadi Samyama, which gives Bhuvana Jnanam. Now we are proceeding to Chandra Naadi Samyama. The sutra is Chandre taaravyuhajnanam. By Chandra Naadi Samyama, there is knowledge of taaravyuha. The stars and other celestial bodies in the heavens are an arrangement. They are not bizarre placement of luminous bodies in the sky, but they have a system. And they are kind of constellations. So that is taaravyuha. Tara means stars and vyuha means their constellations. So this is a subject matter of what is called as Jyotirvijnaana. Jyotirvijnaana is that Jyothishshaastra, which is one of the 6 Upa-angas of Veda. The 4 Vedas have 6 Upa-angas. They are called the assisting bodies of Shastras, and they are Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, Chanda, Nirukta and Jyotish. That is the Jyotirvijnaana, that is Jyotirvijnaana. It should not be mistaken to astrology. So, the subject matter of the Jyotirvijnaana, Jyothishshaastra, is Navagraha Nakshatra Raashi. And we commoners are aware of their influence on our life. And that is the astrology, the science which predicts happenings in our life. So people are aware of astrology because people are curious to peep into their future or peep into their past, what is called as past regression. So we are familiar with the clan of people who are astrologers and who predict our futures. So that is what we are aware of, the Jyothishshaastra. But this is Jyotirvijnaana, which is required for calculating the time, almanac, our position in time and space. Anyway, what we are familiar is Jyothishshaastra, which tells us that Navagrahas, the stars and planets and nakshatras and Rashis, that is zodiac signs, influence our mindset. They influence our function of the mind, behavior of the mind, state of the mind, condition of the mind, activities of the mind. And according to the Oriental astrology, the moon, the Chandra is presiding deity over the mind. And the moon has a lot of influence on the mind of all living beings and human being in particular. Incidentally, that's why in English you have the word lunacy, lunatic, and it comes from word lunar, and lunar means moon. So it is accepted even by the whole world that the moon has influence over our mind. And the classical astrology and astronomy understands the moon that way, how it is related to the mind of all beings, particularly human being. So the Samyama here is something on Chandra Naadi. It is a representation of the moon within our embodiment, that is Chandra Naadi. And the whole astronomy is only visible during night. The astronomy is not an object of daytime study. We need to wait for nights to come, and then we can look at the sky and have some knowledge of astronomy. So the night is a time where the moon has a significant role. The moon is luminous body in the sky at nights, while the sun is luminous body in the sky at daytimes. So the entire Khagola Shastra or astronomy gives importance to night, in another sense gives importance to the moon, because moon appears at night time, and when you are able to sight moon and the night, particularly of dark fortnight or the bright fortnight, it is so important. So the point is taaravyuha. This taaravyuha means planets and stars and nebulae or whatever bodies are in the space. And these stars and planets or zodiac signs or clusters of stars have enormous influence on our life. They are called nakshatra. So in astrology they consider the Raashi, that is zodiac sign, and the nakshatra, which is the cluster of stars. And that's an important consideration in astrology. So the Jyotirvijnaana becomes so important from astrology point of view. But from astronomy point of view, that is trying to understand the space and time that we are in. Again, the Jyotirvijnaana is important. The Panchanga, what is called as almanac, will be considering the Graha Tara Nakshatra in its understanding of time and space that we are in. So Jyotirvijnaana became very important for Vedic culture, because Vedas are prescribing rituals. The rituals are to be done in proper propitiating times, and for propitiating times they need to look into the stellar positions, stellar conditions. That's called Jyotirvijnaana, and one can understand how Jyotirvijnaana is very important for the Vedic religion and Vedic practices, and that's why it became Upa-anga. Anyway, point is, our human life is influenced by Chandra, Surya, then the planets such as Buddha, Mangal, Guru, Shani, or what are called as Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, etc. And they play an important role in deciding our course of life, design of our life, form of our life. And they are all Khagola. Khagola means, Kha means Akasha and Gola means the circular forms, and therefore it is called Khagola Shastra. And the Jyothishshaastra relates all these planets and stars to our life. Our life is totally bound by the stars and planets and their positions in our astrological charts. Now, the point that I want to stress is that the saints such as Jnandev, Tukaram, Ramdas, the great noble saints of all times, of all regions in Bharatavarsha, if you present them for pathological and radiological studies under a pathologist and radiologist, they will not have slightest clue why Gnaneshwar is Gnaneshwar and Tukaram is Tukaram, or Ramdas is Ramdas, Tyagraj is Tyagraj. Although they stand out from all other common human beings, the radiology and pathology is not able to figure out why they are unique, why they are spiritually evolved, and the radiology and pathology will look at the corporeal body, its conditions and any deformations or any defects and any diseases. Now they have similar bodies like you and me. The anatomy of yours and mine, and the anatomy of Gnaneshwar, Tukaram, Ramdas, Eknath, Tyagraj, Tulsidas, or Vasishtha, Vishwamitra, Yagnavalkya, etc. Anatomy doesn't change. But then, what is the basis because of which they are radically different than us? That we are mundane mortals and they are spiritually evolved immortals. Now for this, the Khagola Shastra, or the vision given by astronomy, astrology, or something that is called as Jyotirvijnaana, can only tell us. Jyotirvijnaana knows the Adidaivic aspect of our embodiment, and they will tell us about how the Adidaivic constitution is between you and me and between Gnaneshwars and Tukarams, and of course the Adhyatmic aspect. The Adhyatmic aspect between we commoners and those noble people also changes. So those changes are not available in radiological observations and studies and pathological observations and studies. So, as you have so far heard that astrology has a greater reference to here, a question can come up: why should the yogi be bothered about taaravyuhajnanam, nakshatrajnanam? Yogi should be going for chitta vritti nirodha, and why should he bother about these taaravyuhajnanam, etc.? Because yogi should be dealing with chitta vritti, chitta prakriti, chitta vyapara, chitta avishkara, and should be able to work on these aspects of chitta. But for all these evolvements, it is important to consider Adi-Daivik dimension of our embodiment. And apart from, or unlike the modern astronomers, astrophysicists who look at the celestial bodies such as sun and moon and stars and planets, they only have knowledge of physical dimension of those. The modern astronomy and astrophysics will not have slightest clue about Adi-Daivik sun, Adi-Daivik moon, Adhyatmic sun, Adhyatmic moon, Adi-Daivik Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, etc. But only Adi Bhautika, or rather just Bhautika. And the Chitta is very closely related to Adi-Daivik constitution within us. And therefore Grahatara Nakshatra thought or ideas and concepts are very important, even if it is Chitta Vritti Nirodha as the main objective in yogic pursuits. The point is, all these celestial bodies called Khagola, which are in the space, they have Adi-Daivik dimension as well, and Adi Adhyatmic dimension as well, and not just physical dimension as the modern astronomy and astrophysics posits. Therefore, these stars and planets have unique importance in Vedic tradition and Vedic thought process. Anyway, here Patanjali is saying Chandre taaravyuhajnanam, Chandre samyamat. It is a samyama. Samyama on what? Chandra. What is this Chandra? Is it that physical sun that is visible to our eyes, which is in the sky? So sometimes you get crescent moon of the first day to 14th day, crescent moon, and then you have the full moon day on one hand and new moon day on the other hand. But the seers and sages of the lore, Rishis and Munis, had the Jyotirvijnaana. They understood the importance of Jyotirvijnaana, and this knowledge cannot be coming to neo astrophysicists and astronomers. And this Adi-Daivik and Adhyatmic knowledge came to Rishis and Munis because of the Divya Drushti given by Yoga. And that is why it is also subject matter which is included in yogic pursuit. The modern astronomy only contributes in one way to our life. What is it? We realize that we are maybe in a location of a region or a province or a state in a country, and that country is again a part of the continent, and that continent is one of the 5 continents, and these 5 continents along with the oceans is on the planet, and this planet is one of the planets in the solar system. The solar system is one of the systems in our Milky Way, and Milky Way is one of the galaxies in multitudinal galaxies in the universe. So it gives only a realization that we are paltry bits in the universe. We are not even a dust particle. we don't even equal a dust particle in the universe. Because in this boundless universe, ever-growing universe, there are many, many galaxies, and one of such galaxies, hundreds and thousands of galaxies, and then one of those galaxies is what we call as Milky Way or Akasha Ganga. In this Milky Way, there are 2000 million stars approximately, and one of the stars is Sun, and the Sun has a family called solar system, and in the solar system we are on one of the planets, and this planet is Earth. Out of all those planets, from Mercury to Pluto, so many planets are there, and all these planets, the whole solar system is just 0.0092% or something like that. It is such a paltry constituent of the solar system. And then in that planet we have 5 continents. In 5 continents we have hundreds of countries, and in hundreds of countries we have one country. In one of those countries we have our region or location or a province. In that province we have one of the cities or towns, and one of the cities or towns we are citizens. So that only tells us about how insignificant we are in this universe. So this would certainly reform the ego of human being. That's all modern astronomy can contribute. It will tell you who are you and how much are you. But the Arsha Jyotirvijnaana has much more to tell us, because we have a Adidaivik Adhyatmic dimension in us, and all the stars and planets have Adidaivik Adhyatmic dimension as well. So the astrology particularly tells us about Graha Yoga, Graha Dasha, as to how a planet is placed in our chart and what does it do. It is the same planet will be found in the chart of other people as well, but what that planet does to us in our life is not the same what it does to all other people. So it might be in a beneficial position or maleficious position. So maleficious position means we suffer, beneficial position means we enjoy. So we have the success and wellness and well-being. So anyway, the point is they all contribute for our chitta dharma, chitta avishkara. What your mind is not just your mind. It has influence of all these stars and planets, which is the wisdom given by the Jyotirvijnaana, Jyotirshastra, Jyothishshaastra, etc. And therefore, the Chandra Samyama is important. It is because of Chandra Samyama and Surya Samyama that enormous strides were taken by Vedikas, talking about the endless time, dividing the time. We have just division of time such as seconds, minutes, hours, days, week, month, and then year. Whereas the Vedic almanac tells us that it is much more detailed classification. like we say 60 seconds 1 minute, 60 minutes 1 hour, and then 24 hours 1 day, 365 days 1 year. That's all we do the time computation. But in Vedic tradition, there is huge division of time. Even the second is divided. There is division of even 1 second. And that's a marvelous thing to really be more precise about the time concept. So from moment, kshana, metaphysical kshana is the infinitesimal unit of time. But then there is further division to concept of kshana in time computation by Vedikas. Then our time computation ends with year. 365 days is year. But Vedikas say something about 60 years is a cycle. So there is one cycle of 60 years. Then it speaks about yugas. So it speaks about Manava Varsha, that is human year, then human day and human year, celestial day and celestial month and celestial year. And then there is concept of yuga, manvantara, kalpa. So all this time computation is because of the stars and planets, and the moon has very important place in carrying out studies in astronomy. So that is why the Samyama of Chandra, this is Chandra Naadi, has enormous bounties, and it is important for the Oriental wisdom to blossom, bloom. And that is quite evident that Oriental wisdom is bloomed and blossomed in an incredible way. And that is because of the Jyotirvijnaana. And Jyotirvijnaana is because of the yogic practices diverging about the time concept up to Ayana, and then comes Samvatsara Chakra, and then comes Yuga, then comes Manvantara, and then comes Kalpa. So that's how it becomes very important aspect. Now let us look into Vyasa's commentary on this sutra, Chandre taaravyuhajnanam, which opens out purport-wise Chandra Naadi Samyamat taaravyuhajnanam. So let us look into what Vyasa has to tell us. Vyasa has a very brief commentary, one-liner. Chandre samyamam krutva taranam vyuham vijaniyat. By samyama on the Chandra, the moon, that is Chandra Nadi, one gets the knowledge of taaravyuham, constellation of these stars. And this is so important for understanding the whole almanac, what is called as Panchanga, and therefore it is able to predict, which is a great marvel that before the onset of observatories such as NASA, our Pandits were able to tell us when exactly is going to be solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. when something is going to happen. And that is so important. Precise mathematics can be seen in Jyotirvijnaana. And that's why it speaks about the Kala Ganana. That means, as I said, the seconds are divided into very micro units. That's also a marvelous thing. The time computation. The idea such as a day has 8 praharas. Then the praharas, each of the prahara has about 3 hours. And then it goes on dividing quite minutely beyond what we do today, such as hour divided by 60 means a minute divided by 60 means a second. And we don't go beyond, except for some precision purpose, that we might go to microseconds, where maybe the seconds are again divided into 100 parts. But for precision in time, we need to go even beyond that. It makes a big difference on cosmic scale. 1,000th of a second, 5,000th of a second, 10,000th of a second, millionth of a second. So the Vedikas went for tabulating the time. Then coming to year, what is called as samvatsara, they went even beyond to the godly days and or celestial days and celestial years. Our 15 days means night of gods, and our the mains, and another 15 days means night of mains. So the 2 fortnights which make a month, the 2 fortnights are respectively day and night for a class of people called Pitar Yoni. Then human 360 years or solar 360 years equals to 1 day of gods. So our 6 months and 6 months becomes the day for gods, and another 6 months becomes the night for gods. And therefore our 1 year equals to 1 day, what is called as Daivi Dina. So then there comes Devi Varsha. From Devi Varsha they compute the yugas. And from yugas they again go for manvantaras, and from manvantaras they go to kalpa. And kalpa spans, as I have repeatedly told you, 8.64 billion years. So minute studies of time has been carried out by Vedika Shastras, and it is very important in Vedika Shastra. So that spells out that this Samyama is important for Jyotirvidas. All those rishis and munis who gave us this Shastra of Jyotirvijnaana and told us about Kalpa, Manvantar, Yuga, Daivi Varsha, Manavi Varsha, etc., etc. We owe a lot to them. And they got this wisdom because of this Samyama. And therefore this Samyama is very important, which will tell us about the seasons, the chronology of events, chronology of time, such as days, fortnights, months, etc., etc., years, So up to Kalpa, and therefore this is an important Samyama for particularly Jyotirvijnaana, and therefore it gets mentioned here. There is anyway one more sutra on this astronomy aspect, which is the following sutra, which is Dhruve Tadgatirvijnanam. You know, these all celestial bodies are not steady state. They are moving. They are moving. And everything in the cosmos is constantly moving. So they have a gati. Gati means movement. And the knowledge of the movement comes by another Samyama, which is on Dhruva, Dhruva Tara, Polaris. So that is the next sutra. So we will be going to the next sutra in our next session. Enough for the time being. Namaskar all of you.